Mike McDaniel had a front-row seat to the Super Bowl, just like the rest of us. Not on the sidelines. Not in the game. Not even close. He watched from home, maybe with a notepad in hand, maybe just with his thoughts swirling. Either way, it should have been a learning experience. Should have been a moment of reflection. Because as the confetti fell, as one team celebrated and the other walked off in silence, the Miami Dolphins were nowhere to be found. Again, the Eagles played their part. The Chiefs did too. But what the Dolphins should really be taking away from that game, it wasn't just about talent. It wasn't just about execution. It was about coaching, about adjustments, about game management at the highest level. And if McDaniel didn't see the difference, then that's a problem. Miami's offense is explosive. That's never been the issue. The issue? Consistency. Play calling that fades when it matters most. A refusal to stick with what's working. A tendency to completely ignore the run game when things get tight. We've seen it before. We saw it against the Ravens, against the Bills, against the Chiefs. The same mistakes, the same stubbornness, the same frustrations that have kept this team from making the leap. And McDaniel? He's right in the middle of it. He's got a brilliant defensive mind, but sometimes brilliance turns into blindness. A coach so locked into his own philosophy that he refuses to adjust. And when you look at the Super Bowl, when you look at what Kellen Moore did with the Eagles' offense, there's a glaring contrast. The Chiefs were ready for Philadelphia's ground game. They had the scheme. They knew Barkley was coming, and they were waiting for it. But instead of abandoning the plan, Moore kept Kansas City honest. He made them respect it, even when it wasn't working. He kept pounding, kept forcing the defense to stay engaged. And then, he struck. The moment KC committed too much, the game opened up. That's where McDaniel loses his grip. He's too quick to abandon the run, too eager to lean on the passing game, even when the balance is needed. How many times have we seen a dominant start to the run game, only for it to completely disappear? How many times have we seen drives stall because defenses know exactly what's coming? The answer, too many. McDaniel has made it clear. He's not giving up play calling unless he truly believes someone else can do it better. But is that really the right approach? We've seen what happens when a head coach steps back and lets another mind take over. We've seen what it did for teams like the Eagles, for coaches like Nick Sirianni. And yet, McDaniel refuses to let go. Darrell Bevell is on the staff. A guy who called plays in Seattle, who worked with Russell Wilson, who knows how to balance a high-powered offense. Would he be the perfect fit? Maybe. Maybe not. But would it be worth exploring? Absolutely. Because right now, Miami isn't suffering from a lack of talent. It's suffering from a lack of adaptability. It's not just about the plays. It's about everything else happening in the game. McDaniel isn't just the offensive coordinator. He's the head coach. And that means seeing the full picture. That means knowing when to slow the game down, when to speed it up, when to take risks, and when to play it safe. That means clock management, timeout usage, situational awareness. And if we're being honest, that's an area where McDaniel has struggled. We've seen moments where he gets too wrapped up in the offense, where he loses track of the bigger picture. We've seen critical timeouts wasted. We've seen end-of-half and end-of-game sequences that feel chaotic, rushed, uncertain. Compare that to what we just watched in the Super Bowl. Every decision was calculated. Every moment was accounted for. The teams that make it to that stage, they don't just have talent. They don't just have a system. They have a coach who understands the game at every level, every moment. And let's talk about defense. Because while we're focusing on McDaniel, there's another major shift happening. Vic Fangio is gone. That experiment, a complete failure. He never connected with the players, never found his rhythm, never became the defensive mastermind that Miami was hoping for. Now, the Dolphins have to reset. They have to figure out what's next. But here's the real question. How much of that falls on McDaniel? He brought Fangio in. He believed in him. And it didn't work. What's stopping the same thing from happening again? What's stopping Miami from making another hire that looks great on paper but doesn't translate? Watching the Super Bowl should have been painful for Miami. Because the talent gap, it's not as big as people think. The difference between the Dolphins and those teams? Coaching, execution, adjustments. McDaniel has had 2 years. 2 years of brilliance mixed with stubbornness. 2 years of highlight reel plays mixed with frustrating collapses. 2 years of making Miami relevant again, but not pushing them over the edge. So the question is, does he see it? Does he see what's holding this team back? Or is he too locked into his own vision to change? Because if the Dolphins want to be the team lifting the trophy next year, it's not just about getting better. It's about getting smarter.